Um, the over the past quite a few years, we've had a tournament selection site committee in soccer who have kind of kept it centralized. And I'm kind of wondering what your site selection criteria are.
We have already determined, first of all, I guess we have schools tell us, or cities tell us, if they're interested in hosting various state tournaments and so forth. And then we wanted to take a look at cities that where the school was currently sponsoring it, and so forth. So there's a little bit of background there. So we have already determined that next year's first state tournament, the 2012-13 school year, will be in Aberdeen for both boys and girls. And then the following year, in 2013-14, it will be in Mitchell. That's as far as we've went right now. But at the current time, Aberdeen sponsors it as a school sport for both boys and girls. Mitchell sponsors it as a girls sport. Both communities and schools expressed an interest in wanting to host it. And of course, we have to have some type of facility where admission can be charged, and there's concessions and all those things available. Both of those communities have got those type of facilities. So that's where we're at right now. And that may grow as more schools and more communities become involved in the sanctioning process.
And speaking of tournament, you think you're going to be able to sneak down to Mitchell and watch a little bit?
Oh, I think I'll be around. As I told people, I'm not going to crawl in a hole and go away. They'll still see me at events. And soccer will probably be one that I go to, especially that inaugural one.
Well, we're going to be asking, especially this year, if you could make it down in October. We'll probably be asking you to give us a little time there to kind of give us an overall view of how you think that they're doing in terms of sponsoring that.
Yep.
So let's kind of finish up here then, Bob, and talk a little bit about that 5-year transition period and what you have established already and what do you think is going to go down the road.
Yeah. Well, normally what we have, a school has to be sponsoring the activity and fully funding the activity in order to be able to be involved. Now again, we don't necessarily control where those funds come from, as I mentioned earlier, but the school's got to have control of the funds, and they're controlling the schedule, they're controlling who the coaches are, all those types of things. And the way I tell people that school sponsorship is, when you're treating a sport the same way you treat football and basketball, then you're probably sponsoring it, and so forth. But what we've done in soccer, because there is a very well-established state soccer program right now, we've got what we call a 5-year transition period, where a school can say, we're going to be fully funding and fully sponsoring the sport of soccer within the next 5 years. And during that 5-year transition period, they are eligible to participate in our state-sponsored tournament. We don't have that in any other sport, but we are going to have that in soccer, and we just felt that we needed that to help with moving from club status to school sponsorship. Now, whether we'll have many schools take advantage of that or not, I know Aberdeen, that's kind of what they did. They took about 3 or 4 years, and the first year the school was responsible for 20% of the program, and the club was responsible for 80%, and then it went 40-60, 60-40, and now the school is fully funding and responsible for the entire sport. So that transition team, they've got to use school name, they've got to use the school colors, they've still got to be in control of who the coaches are, and obviously in charge of the schedule and that type of thing. But there's some other things that they can work in conjunction with as they're transitioning to a fully sponsored team. I think that will help too. The other thing that we're going to allow that we don't allow in our other sports and to help with scheduling a little bit, we will allow our school sanctioned and transition teams to play club teams within the season. Now, how that will work in the seeding process and that type of thing has not been decided yet, but we're going to allow those things to happen through a sanctioning process that we have here in the office for individual contests. And we're doing that basically so schools hopefully don't have to travel all the way across the state to fill a schedule. There may be a club team in their area that just not ready to become a school-sponsored team. we'll still allow them to play. The
And
state
that's during, you're talking during regular season?
regular
But
season,
not
right?
postseason.
Not postseason.
Okay.
Right. And then once we get to the postseason, then there's basically going to be 2 state tournaments for a while anyway. There'll be the SDHSAA sanctioned tournament for our school-sponsored teams and the transition teams, and then there will also be a State Soccer Association will continue running their state tournament for the club teams. And I know the Soccer Association's goal is ultimately to wean themselves away from that and everybody be involved with the school, but that's going to take some time.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, I mean, that's a real common sense approach, that 5-year deal, and, you know, ultimately, they're gonna have to decide if they're gonna be part of it or not.
Right.
I think.
Yep, exactly.
So, well, that, I don't know if we've, covered everything that you'd like to, talk to the soccer community about, but I sure got all my questions answered.
Yeah, well, like I say, that's kind of where we're at right now, and right now, for lack of a better term, things are kind of on hold until January 1, until we find out exactly from our schools as to how many people are going to be involved in the program, and then we'll be going full force ahead on developing postseason play and those and number of classes and those types of things.
Well, it's gonna be fun, and, you know, thank you, very much for helping this process along and bringing your experience in transitioning sports in. It's gonna, I think down the road, soccer is gonna be a real popular regular school sport too.
Yep, I'm sure it will.
Okay. Well, again, Bob, thank you for your time today,
Okay.
and especially thank you for your service these last 18 years.
Okay.
You've made a big difference.
Yep, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.